Hello, Reject Nation. It's Greg Alba here with the lovely and talented Moriah Garcia.
Hey.
She was on here a few months ago. I went on her channel a long time ago, had some delicious tacos. She just put up a vlog recently, actually. You guys should go check it out. Hey, Moriah, did you watch any shows when you were a kid?
No.
Wow, terrible segue for this episode today.
Yes.
You're an improv. Yes, and make it up.
Very deprived childhood.
Well, today we're going to watch from a YouTube channel called Screen Rant. They're an awesome movie channel. They have a list video here, 10 subtle messages in kid shows that parents wouldn't approve of. I probably wrote some of these. Let's check it out, people.
One of our favorite pastimes as kids was watching our favorite cartoons.
Animaniacs!
Most of the time, our parents monitored what we watched. But even then, there were some subtle messages and innuendos that slipped through the cracks. Want to know which ones? Stay tuned and find out. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest content on Screen.
Subscribe before you know their content.
Can you guess what feature film these emojis are showing? Find out at the end of this video.
Tommy Wommy on TV, he's wonderful. Yo, isn't he just the most?
Yep, that's one fine-looking young pickles you got there, Stu.
Rugrats. The show had some very creative adventures the babies went on, but we also got to know the parents and their personalities.
Drug
and
addicts.
Just like when we were kids, sometimes the adult dialogue and moments got lost on us. But looking back, there are some moments in the show that we are happy that we didn't get. Like when Tommy's grandpa tells the kids he rented them some movies, Reptar Come Home and Reptar Redux. He then mentions he rented his personal favorite, Lonely Space Vixen, which is for after they go to bed. With a title like that and the fact that the kids have to be asleep for it, we're pretty sure Lonely Space Vixen is a very adult film, if you know what we mean.
Say goodnight, sucker. It's way past your bedtime.
Granddaddy was a perv.
No, I didn't. The Powerpuff Girls accident.
I love the Powerpuff
Sugar,
Girls.
spice, and everything nice are said to be what little girls are made from. Cartoon Network's The Powerpuff Girls took that to a whole new level when they created a story about a professor who wanted to create the perfect little girl. But when he was mixing the ingredients, Professor Utonium accidentally broke a bottle of Chemical X into the mix and created the superhero trio Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. In one episode, they made a friend named Robin, who they have over their house for a playdate. After the professor introduces himself, Bubbles goes on to mention that he made them in his laboratory by accident.
Yeah, he made us in his laboratory by accident.
Well, what can I say?
Don't worry, Professor. I was an accident too.
Did you get the joke when you were a kid? This is how everyone runs on the list.
That's a mature joke.
As streaming has become the norm to how we watch
movie?
Television, we usually trust Netflix to have something to watch. When it comes to cartoons, we know they're always child-friendly, right? Wrong. Maya the Bee is a show on Netflix that was created by Studio 100 Animation. It was based on a German children's book series first published in 1912, so how harmful could it really be? Well, it so happens that a few parents noticed a crude drawing of the male anatomy in one of the scenes. A couple of moms took to posting a screenshot on social media to show that the image was an episode.
Whoa!
No
One
way.
mom insisted that she did not make any edits to the image. If try and search for the episode now, it has since been removed.
Wow.
Now, we wonder how and why this phallic image was added to an otherwise kid-friendly show. What was really the point? That should definitely not be an Easter egg that parents have been happy to find.
Remember, I wanted to cover the roof of my mouth and look just like the picture. A big can of beans that says Gloria on it.
I love this.
What is it?
Rocko's Modern Life.
That's what it is?
Just about
Never
everything
seen it.
in this show is
Never?
borderline too much. You wonder how it got approved. But to be honest, watching this show as an adult, you realize two things. One, you probably shouldn't have watched this as a kid, and two, you probably relate to this show a lot more than you should. Rocko's Modern Life reflected the struggles of adulthood. The young wallaby had to deal with a scary boss, the tribulations of dating, and even taking some awful jobs, like being a late-night phone sex operator. In one episode where he is trying to find different jobs, he comes across an ad for a specialty phone operator. It cuts to him holding up a phone saying,
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
Rocco.
Mrs. Bighead?
This this
In
a
the
kid
background, you see
show?
that the place is called the One-on-One Hotline, and next to him is a set of rules
Oh,
taped up on the
God.
wall which say to be hot, be naughty, and be courteous.
Wow.
It
I do
doesn't
not
need much
remember
more
that.
explaining, now does it?
Oh, you did it. I bet that jingled his bells.
Victorious. It's time to make it shine, friends! The show Victorious follows kids who go to an art and performing school. The main circle of friends are all heavily into music and singing.
Ariana Grande.
And you may recognize
Oh,
this
was
show
it?
as the place where Miss Ariana Grande got her start as
Wow.
the lovable Cat Valentine. And let's face it, she was
so
hysterical in that show. This show was more so directed towards teens, but as we know, kids also watched it. This show also had its share of naughty jokes and innuendos. For example, in the episode A Christmas Story, the Hollywood art students are celebrating the holidays.
Wow.
Andre is freaking out because he got a bad grade on a Christmas song he wrote in class. He comes into class upset and asks his fellow classmates,
How does a person go from an A to a D?
Happened to me in 8th grade.
in true Jade fashion, she didn't even look up. A very hilarious joke about boob size growth. If you're curious, he got his grade changed to an A after the team joined forces and performed his song for the teacher.
Thank God they clarified that ending. That's what I was concerned about.
Spongebob SquarePants.
Oh, there's
Mystery
more
Coin
than
Slot.
SpongeBob. There's plenty.
For those of you SpongeBob
Yeah.
fans, chances are you've noticed a few somewhat inappropriate
Yeah,
things
yeah,
here
yeah.
and there. Some are purposeful nudges, others we aren't so sure about. But let's talk about the episode My Pretty Seahorse. You may recall that SpongeBob ends up with a beautiful wild seahorse who he ends up calling Mystery. At one point, Mystery ends up at work with SpongeBob. He tries to hide her, but fails. Mr. Krabs makes it clear that she is a wild animal and can't be in the restaurant. SpongeBob ends up tying her out front to the Krusty Krab. A couple of fish comes by and assume that Mystery is a coin-operated kid ride, so naturally, he begins looking for where to put the coin.
I can't find the coin slot. Here it is.
Now let's think about that for a second.
Wow.
Where would possibly put a coin into and elicit that sort of reaction? Poor Mystery. We snaw.
Oh, proof I'm unpredictable?
I know, this is the part when you get yourself into some weird situation
What the
and
hell
when
are
I
all
try
these
to warn
shows?
you about
I've
it,
never
you'll
seen
just say,
The Amazing World of Gumball. In one
Duh.
episode called
Yeah,
Gumball,
sorry.
Darwin calls out Gumball for being predictable. So he runs over to Hot Dog Guy and hugs him out of nowhere, and then smiles
Dog
at him.
Guy.
The next day, Hot Dog Guy and Gumball run into each other in the hall and awkwardly hug. Because as Gumball explains it, you can't de-hug someone once you hug them. Another day goes by and they hug each other. Instead of talking, they awkwardly hum a tune and walk away from each other. After a few more awkward encounters, Gumball invited Hot Dog Guy over for a sleepover. That night, they're both sleeping in a tent in the backyard. As Hot Dog Guy snores, Gumball takes his quilt off to relax, but Hot Dog unknowingly puts his hand on Gumball. When he tries to move it away, he ends up accidentally crawling on top of him. Hot Dog Guy wakes up and screams internally. We see their figures silhouetted from outside the tent as they hum their awkward songs. This looks totally questionable from outside the tent. Fans have pointed out that this looks a bit inappropriate.
That's the worst
What do you
one.
think?
That's not a bit. That's very inappropriate.
Many odd places
Oh,
where
God.
the sun doesn't shine on them.
Animaniacs.
My
Well,
fave.
hello, nurse. Remember the Animaniacs? The Warner Bros. Cartoon about the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister Dot is one that 90s kids are very familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
But do you remember all of the sexual innuendos that bordered on inappropriate?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
hard to pick just one. But for the sake of this list, we chose one that made us cringe looking back on it. When Yakko asks Dot to dust for Prince, she misunderstands and comes back carrying the singer.
I found Prince! No, fingerprints.
Oh, God.
I don't think so.
How did this even make it on television? And how did our parents allow us to watch it? We can't believe this actually aired for kids to watch.
Wait.
What Animaniacs hijinks
Did you get that?
remember?
No, I missed it.
Actually, it doesn't
Explain
say
to me
who it's
after. I'm a little confused.
One way to find out.
Fingerprints.
Whoa!
Teen Titans Puppets. Cartoon Network makes some awesome shows, and We Have to See Teen Titans is one of our favorite shows. Because the show was geared more towards teens or older kids, the themes of the show were always a little more mature, which also meant the occasional giggle-inducing comments. like when the Teen Titans get sent a cardboard box of puppets that look like the Titans. The Puppet King emerges and activates his controller, which transfers their souls into their puppets.
Whoa.
But before that, Beast Boy and Robin admire their puppets, and Robin remarks at how accurate they are.
Yeah, they got all the details just right.
Speak for yourself.
It seems like they didn't quite get all of Beast Boy right. TMI, Beast Boy.
I'm missing so much.
What?
What happened? I missed it.
Dexter's Lab.
God.
Dad's trophy.
Oh, right. I don't know how I'm
Friends,
missing this.
We
It
won't
feels
ask you to
stupid.
get out of our laboratory.
I'm glad you're here.
Come right on in.
Get your
If
head
you
in
remember
there.
this awesome Cartoon Network show, then you'll probably remember that it too was full of some inappropriate moments that we didn't quite understand.
There's
as
knockers
kids.
in that one.
One of them
lady.
happens in a part 2 episode called Nuclear Confusion. As per usual, Dee Dee is involved in ruining Dexter's day. He creates the ultimate reading lame, and Dee Dee steals the power source. But of course, the power core is also an hour away from melting down and destroying the Earth. Naturally, Dee Dee has not made it easy for him to get the power source back. She leaves him clues that involve eating all the pies that Mom is making. The clues lead him to go next door. He asks the neighbor lady if she has his source. She laughs it off and asks if he wants cookies. She bends over after she drops one of the cookies, and he sees that on her bum it says Dad's trophy. We don't think we need to explain the objectification of these words written on her rear, do we? We just want to know how Dee Dee was able to write that on the neighbor lady. Wow, there you have it.
Dad's
Those were some
trophy.
subtle messages in kids' cartoons that parents wouldn't approve of. What'd you think? Are there any we missed? Which ones did you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below.
We'll
And
just let you
before
know
go,
right now.
Here is the answer to the emoji quiz. Did you get it? Let us know. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Screen Rant and stay up to date with the latest videos. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Screen Rant. That was a cool video. So Teen Titans, what happened in Teen Titans?
They have the action figures, and the one Teen Titan is saying how they got all the detailing right.
Oh, I was looking at
And the
Robin.
other-
Oh.
Look, and he checks his pants.
Oh.
He says, except for me.
If I had a puppet, that would have been very accurate to me. I would
Oh,
have complained about it.
TMI.
I would have been like, yep, it's just as disappointing as it's always been. Wow, I mean, some of these messages are pretty racy. I mean, just from the very beginning with the Rugrats one with the grandpa, it sounds like he's going to go watch pornographic material afterwards.
Yeah.
And you would expect that from a grandpa. He's a single grandpa, right? I didn't
Right.
watch Rugrats, did you?
Yeah.
Was he married?
I don't know if he was a widow.
Yeah. Or he was just a single guy who had a lot
Maybe.
of children out of wedlock in this kid's show. Yeah.
I think the worst one was the hot dog one.
Oh yeah, when they're like making love in the tent, or like looks like that
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah.
and it's a hot dog.
Yeah.
That
You're
is
an
pretty
It
graphic.
takes hours to do those animations, so you know what you're doing.
You know.
And the penis one on the, what was the?
Oh, that
the
bee show.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Whatever the hell this show was.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Maya the Bee.
Maya the Bee. The Maya the Bee one is just not subtle at all.
No, like the Little Mermaid cover and stuff like that. It's like,
Oh yeah, or like Lion
this-
King where it says
yeah,
sex or something in
yeah,
the wind.
that's bad.
That's subtle and you have to really pay attention to
I
it.
just wonder how it got snuck in there.
I don't know how they got away with drawing
It's the
a
same
penis.
kids. It's the same kids who would draw penises in the bathroom on graffiti or like binders. Those are the ones that grow up to do this. Like, yeah, let's put a penis in
Yeah,
there.
we were stupid when we were younger. My friends and I. Actually, the one that was a little bit surprising to me was when Powerpuff Girls, when the professor is talking with that little girl. She's like, yeah, I made them by accident. The little girl says, I was an accident too. That's a rather
think that
mature
was
joke.
that bad.
But that's, I don't know, it kind of says a lot. Especially
think
for a
some
little
kids-
girl to know that.
I knew I was an accident. I don't
When
think
you
it's
were a
that
little kid?
bad. I probably, yeah, at least like in elementary school.
Well, that
I did.
explains the emotional reactive ways you have now. Because you grew up with this traumatic thought
You think
of
it's-
that you were
think
an
it's
accident.
traumatizing?
I don't think it's traumatizing.
No,
I think it
yeah.
all depends. If the parents
I'm
like, you were an
like-
accident, what's supposed to have you?
I'm
Like if they
I'm
kill
like
you.
your pot of gold to my parents.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
your star child.
Exactly. See, so sometimes an accident's a positive thing,
You
but
won the lottery with me.
something that like I feel like parents try to keep a little bit secretive from their kids sometimes until
Oh.
they're older. It's like if a kid's adopted, they'll tell them sometimes later.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not that bad. You have put things into a different
'cause
perspective.
My dad's really old. So he was like, he made it clear that he was not expecting to have more children.
Did he use it as a guilt factor too?
No. Sometimes he didn't have as much energy as like my friends' dads, you know, to like do activities and stuff. So he'd communicate.
So
that.
he'd just
He's
be,
like,
all right, hey, accident, get over here.
Thought I was done with number
Number 3.
Yeah.
The Animaniacs one, I was really slow to catch. But then after you explained it to me,
fingerprints.
That is pretty vulgar.
It's a play on words. I don't think it's that bad.
I mean,
it is,
it's kind of implying that the girl anime, the sister, fingered Prince, which we've all wanted to do.
Well, she said she didn't want to.
But then she felt like she had to, which makes it even worse. I'm trying
like,
to capitalize on why it's terrible.
Okay.
That makes for a much better video.
Okay.
I'm surprised number 1 is Dad's trophy, although it's on the ass.
That wasn't his mom, though. That was the neighbor. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So is he implying that the
he's
dad's having an affair with the neighbor? Wow.
I think that's the worst part.
Wow.
If it was the wife, I'd be like, oh, I'd want to be Dad's trophy in the future.
I have that written on my ass. My girlfriend wrote it for me.
Dad's trophy?
Yeah. She calls herself Daddy. Yeah, it's a weird relationship.
Wait, I can't tell if this is... Are you being serious?
Let's say we're serious, because it makes for a more interesting video to say that.
Reverse gender roles. So
yeah, equality out here, man. You got to give her the manpower position. Some of these aren't too bad. To me, like the Ariana Grande show, Victorious, when they says how do you go from A to D. Like, that's a funny joke to me, and it's a teen show.
And it's puberty. It doesn't need to be so secretive.
Yeah, I remember I had boobs before I was a teenager. I was fatter, and then I became a teenager, and I got taller, and I went from like a D to an A. So I was like happy about that.
That you reversed.
I reversed. Yeah.
Good for you.
I don't think any girl really wants big boobs either. I just thought I'd throw that out there, you know, give you nothing to work off of. Just throw you into a corner there with my random comment. So I was like, there's nothing to say after that.
Like, you know, because girls don't spend thousands of dollars to get theirs done. They really want it.
What was that one show, though? You said you've seen it? The one where he's having phone sex? What is this show?
Yeah, that Rocco's Modern Life.
I've never seen it. This is a kid show?
Yeah, I was little.
This seems like such an inappropriate show. Clearly having phone
No, that's
sex.
pretty crazy, yeah.
That's not subtle at all.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It says be hot, be naughty, be curious.
It's so weird because as a kid you don't question that.
These are adults who are writing these kid shows. They get bored and sometimes they think they can get away with a vulgar joke. You know, like when I was a little kid, I never noticed shit when like they had a vulgar joke.
But then I think sometimes when they do these little things, these innuendos, I feel like they do it because they're adult and they know that
sometimes
half the time parents are watching you when you take your kid to a film or you're like watching to see what your kid's up to. The joke's for you.
You need a dirty joke once in a while.
Yeah, talk dirty to me.
Yeah. Talk dirty to me, show. I don't know why parents would get so upset. Are they thinking that their kid's gonna see this and then somehow it's gonna mess with their subconscious and then down the road it'll psychologically mess them up?
Maybe.
It's true. It's happened many times. My dad showed me Showgirls when I was 6 years old and it's changed me. That was a kid's movie. I highly recommend it for all children to watch. It's turned me into a great, confident man. Anyway, guys, you guys can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell to get notified every time one of our vids is up. We have a Patreon, weekly video responses, full-length video responses to Q&As, full-length TV show reactions and reviews and other stuff. But more importantly, make sure to follow Moriah Garcia on the social medias. She has a YouTube channel. She has an Instagram. You have a Twitter too, right?
I got a Twitter. I'm pretty funny.
She's got a Twitter. She thinks she's funny.
I know I'm funny.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of retweets.
Well, you made me laugh. Thanks for being here, Moriah.
Thanks.